Hey people, welcome to the channel, and again talking about Charlie Kirk and about him wearing or not wearing body armor, why it's important, why you need to understand how this stuff works, how body armor works, the little details that you may get wrong, the things that obviously so many people based on the comments have no clue what they're talking about. And in this video, I'll talk about why I believe, I have almost no doubt that he was wearing armor, why it probably failed as it seems as it did, why there's no hole in the t-shirt. I don't see a big hole. I saw a movie where big holes appear on stuff. I'll explain that as well. I'll explain the angle. I'll explain a bunch of stuff that I think is important for you to understand. Why? Because this is a channel about preparedness, about survival, about security, about defense, about wearing armor. These are topics that we've addressed here before, and here we have an actual case study to learn from. Folks, as always, if you want to learn more about all of this stuff and a lot more, you have the channel, you have my books, 3 Survival Skills and Surviving the Economic Collapse. In this book, I explain why it's so important for you to actually wear body armor in certain situations of high risk. Is it all the time? Well, I don't know what you do. Do you work as a security guy in a bank? Maybe you want to wear body armor. You are in a war zone? Yes. Certainly. You're exposing yourself to a high-risk situation? Yes, there are valid reasons to use body armor, but you need to understand how it works, right? I've done these things before. I've shown you body armor before. I have some body armor there that was sent for reviewing from companies, so I do know a thing or two about this. I've actually had rounds bounce back to me and hit me. I know how that feels and how it sucks. I know all of these things that a lot of people are just assuming, all right? So let's get to this right away. First of all, this is all AI. This is all a giant conspiracy. He was killed by whatever, and it was a snot. I'm not going by any of those things. I mean, in a channel about survivalists and preparedness, I think we have enough conspiracy theory as it is. I just want to stick to the facts, at least the ones I see here, and the information, the technical information that can help you make a better decision, maybe even avoiding something like this, all right? So about all of that, spalling, fragmentation, ricochet. Spalling, technically speaking, is the armor material itself, coming off, but in marketing, they do call it anti-spall material, even though technically it's more like anti-ricochet or anti-redirection of the fragments of the round, or the trajectory changing, all of those things. But basically what you need to understand that not all body armor is the same, and some of it is very thin. This will stop a round. Some people think, oh, nothing stops at 30-06. Yes, it does. This thing can stop it, but then you have things that are a lot thicker. And all of this thickness not only stops the round, but also catches it and prevents redirection, prevents ricochet, and prevents all of this fragmentation from hitting people. Guys, this is not news for anyone that has been into this sort of thing for a long time, as I've had. We've seen discussions of people arguing that there's not even point in having armor like this, because we know that little fragments of jacket, or even the redirection of the projectile as it continues along the path, you can get killed by it because it hasn't got this material. So there's a lot of people that think this is completely pointless because, yes, it could save you or not. It is up to grabs depending on how lucky you are. And if we go by very concealable armor plate like this, the direction in which it goes is this, all right? But let's go through a bunch of stuff here. Was he wearing body armor or not? We have no absolute confirmation. There is stuff online being said. I don't have any reliable source to say, there you go, this is 100% confirmed. Apparently, the company says that he did wear it because his wife insisted on it. I have no thing to point at and say, oh yeah, it was mentioned in YouTube in a channel where they cover the body armor discussion as well, but there's no complete confirmation. I at least don't have it. If you do have it, let me know in the comments. But apparently his wife did want him to wear. All I see here, I see a picture here of a guy that is wearing body armor under the t-shirt. That's what I see. Well, hey, I may be wrong, but I see the shape. I see no nipple here. We'll get into the nipple debate in a second, but there's no nipple here. There's the shape of an armor, of a body armor, and there's a microphone magnet thing attached to the side right there where the plate ends. That's what I see, even in the shadows. But then there's pictures like this. I think this is on the same day. He's not wearing any kind of body armor here. Why? Because he's wearing a t-shirt and it is perfectly flat against his body. I don't even see a nipple here. But you know why? The nipple just disappeared? No, because that t-shirt is big. It's actually bigger than it should be. It's not doing him any favors in showing off his physique. It's big. And this is something I learned from my wife. A t-shirt, the seam should end right here. You see that thing there? That's where it should end. If it ends here, it's way too small for you. If it ends here, it's way too big. The seam is here, meaning this t-shirt is too big for him. Look how it just wraps up around here in the arm. It is gigantic. You know why he's wearing a bigger t-shirt? Because he plans on wearing body armor right after he's done throwing around the hats. There's no microphone. There's no prepping yet. He's just wearing a big-ass t-shirt, and then he's going to prep. He's going to get the body armor, and he's going to get the microphone. This is maybe a cross. It could be. I don't think this is probably a cross that he has in the neck. At least that's what I think it is. Again, and here, all of a sudden, the t-shirt rides up exactly where it should be. And all of a sudden, well, where's the magic nipple? Well, guys, nipple or no nipple, what I see here is that this shirt is a lot bigger now. He just gained 20 pounds. Well, yeah, he actually did gain maybe 20 pounds of compression vest and body armor. And you see the t-shirt floating on top of it? Why is it floating like that? Is this guy fat too all of a sudden? No, he's a big dude, but he's quite skinny for a guy of his size. Why is this? Well, if I'm sitting like laid back on a bigger t-shirt and whatnot, on a small chair, you have flesh, you have skin, you have muscle, you have fat, you have all of that stuff. But this seems a little bit excessive. You know what I think this is? And this, I think it's this. I think he's wearing a compression shirt. That's what I think it is. And as you see, it can be a little bit smaller. If it's anatomically correct for more comfort, it's only covering the vital, he could be wearing a very small one, just covering this. He feels this is more comfortable, he's happier with this, and this is not covering the nipple. Not in this graphic, not on this guy. You actually could see probably the nipple right there. And again, Charlie Kirk was a big dude. A big dude with a small rifle plate, minimalist rifle plates, because your wife says, no, honey, I'm just not comfortable with you not wearing it. Okay, I'm wearing the smaller thing. And that's why I believe at times you did see a nipple. Oh, but what about the t-shirt not showing any hole? Well, you obviously never shot anything at all. Never shot cloth. It does not leave a giant ass hole. What it does is leave a very tiny hole, a 30 caliber hole. That's the only hole it will do. I've shot clothes before. Not only that, I've done a lot of research and I've seen a lot of people get shot. And in none of those cases you see that. You're going by what you saw in movies. In movies, they put a little bit of explosive, a little bit of gunpowder, actually, I believe it is, explosive material. And it just triggers with a button and it pops and it makes a big rugged old hole with unburned powder residue for the spectator, for the viewer in the movie. Oh, I got just shot. Fucking no, that's not how it works. Watch the videos of people getting shot. You don't see anything. The guy just goes down. Maybe later you see a little bit of blood, especially in handgun calibers, but you will not see any hole on the cloth. Oh, but if it was a rifle plate, it should have exploded. Well, let's actually watch that, okay? Let's actually watch what happens when you shoot something that is very, very hard and going nowhere. Plate, bullet. That's what happens when you shoot plate. Plate that is not attached to anything and it's going nowhere and it doesn't move an inch. It explodes. And where is it that everything goes? Is it bouncing off like in a tennis, court? Like, fuck. No. It hits, follows the direction. Hits, follows the direction. Whatever you're shooting at, it's not a pool table. One of the things you learn, and one of the things that I believe it's kind of important for people to know, and I explain it here as well, because this is the kind of thing that could get you killed. If you don't understand how these things actually work, this is how it works. If you shoot someone, this has actually happened. A cop shot a guy, shot him in the foot, and he bounced the bullet under the projectile, under the car, without even kneeling much at all, because it follows the trajectory. There's another case of a guy that he was just peeping around the wall, around the corner, right? Could you believe he got shot in the face and he was just so unlucky that just hit him in the face when he was just peeping? No, he was peeping and the round hit the wall and it follows the trajectory of the wall. That's what happened with these things. They follow the trajectory of the wall and it hits you right in your face because you thought that you were safe because it's not a lot. No, anywhere in the wall that it hits, it follows that line and hits you in the damn face. Here it's exploding because it's not moving. But if you shoot metal, you know that should be at an angle. If you shoot metal targets, you know you always place them like that because bang goes down. Bang goes down. What if I just saw it explode? Well, it's exploding because it's not moving. If it's not moving, there's a good chance of this completely fragmenting. But if there's a little bit of give, it could bounce back. And I've been hit by these things. I've removed a little bit of jacket from my neck, thinking, oh shit, what is that? Yeah, a little bit of jacket from the target I just shot. I shot full auto against a brick wall. I was like FMK3, like that. And all of a sudden, oh fuck, I just died. I thought I'm dead because I'm a moron. And then I looked, nothing. Didn't even go through a t-shirt. 10 years away, brick wall, full auto 9mm. All of those things hit me. I saw them in the ground. They were deformed, flattened, but because of the brick wall, there was some deformation. So they bounced with enough force that I felt them, but it was 100% mass retention. But what happens when you have this guy sitting right here? Have we talked enough already why you will not see any big explosion or hole here? Because all of those fragments will ricochet either something like this, right? Or more likely, something like what we actually saw. And what we saw is he was wearing something like this. It hits here, and it did not fully fragment in a million little pieces. It deviated. Most of the mass of that thing went up into his neck. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why you see a giant ass hole that makes no fucking sense as an entry wound in this human being. Makes no sense. If you study ballistics for a few hours at least, you will know that makes no sense. If you shot anything, living or... guys, that is not the hole that a 30-round caliber does. Not the entry wound. That was enormous. It was as big as putting a thumb in there because it hits... It deviates and goes with a certain deformation. If you shoot anything, the rifling will make it go like this. It's going to hit in a straight line, make a perfect caliber hole. In this case, it was like keyholing. I shot once in a place, in a far, far distant country, shooting with a Glock. I know Glocks very well. I still have my valid Glock armor or diploma probably somewhere over there, right? And I was shooting this Glock that was not mine. It was keyholing. Fucking 9mm keyholing at 15 meters away? Makes no sense. The barrel was so dirty that it was not catching and it was not spinning as it was supposed to, and it was keyholing. The keyholing makes a huge ass hole. That's why this is not what you see when you get a direct hit on the neck. Besides that, it goes through. Sweetheart, 30-06 goes through a fucking deer. It would have gone through this guy as well. Charlie Kirk was a big dude, but still, you would have seen an exit hole and you would have seen a fucking mess of a splatter on the back, which was, by the way, a white sign. You would have seen all of that stuff. All of that would have been tremendously visible. Folks, sadly, if he had been wearing something like this that retained those fragmentations, it could have been completely different. Sadly, someone's going to regret this a lot for the rest of his life. Probably him. If he had the choice of going with something thicker, it would have done a better job, a much better job at stopping this. So I think that's sadly what happened. But you know what? You're probably never going to learn the truth. Why? Because we don't want to talk about this. We don't want to talk about this because next time some lunatic goes out there, they're not going to shoot to the chest. They're going to shoot to the head. And politicians, high-ranking politicians, public figures, people that have an eye, the public has an eye on them, they will do these things. They will wear ballistic protection, right? And you don't want every lunatic out there to know that's the case. Probably there's going to be a lot of people wearing much better armor plate than now, right? Not this shit. They're going to go with something that provides more of this anti-spalling, anti-ricochet material, thicker stuff, better. And this was always a debate. We've always talked about this. We've done videos about how, hey, there's no even point in this because if you get hit, just a jacket could cut you and these things have happened before. You think they haven't. They have happened. You just didn't know about it because this is not what you do. These things have already happened. Soldiers, people that have been shot with rifles have had this happen, all right? But we don't want everyone out there to know that's the case. You know, you shot for center mass. That's the most common advice. That's what you should do. But if everyone now knows that people in the public are wearing something like this, they will go for a headshot, and that's gonna be a big mess. Guys, I hope you learned something. If you appreciate the content of the channel, do subscribe, leave your comments below, but please make a little bit of sense in some of these comments, because I've heard a lot of people talk a lot of nonsense and I'm kind of tired of it. All right, if you have anything positive to add in terms to the discussion, the technical discussion here, this guy is not wearing anything here. This guy here is wearing a plate. I have no doubt about that. See you later, folks. Take care.